I want to say good morning to everyone that made it here. I want to say good morning to the ones that may be watching us on YouTube this morning. Here we are at Sunday School, Silver Spring Missionary Baptist Church. We have Pastor Reverend Ronald R. Jones, and we got another good Sunday School lesson with another good Sunday School teacher. Before we get started, I always like to ask for a volunteer to lead us in prayer. Amen. At this time, Miss Rivers, it's your time.
Good morning, everyone. This lesson here is a good lesson here and a learning lesson. Um, Today's topic will be Jesus overpowered legion. Its background passage will be Mark 5, chapter 5th chapter, 1st to the 20th verse. Key verse, and he departed and began to publish in the Decapolis how great things Jesus has done for him, and all men did marvel. Mark 5th chapter, 20th verse. This is the final lesson from our unit, called from the margins of society, and the only one from the Gospel of Mark. Mark Gospel has often been called the freeway gospel. Mark spent more time talking about what Jesus did as opposed to what Jesus said. To Mark, Jesus Christ is the suffering, sacrificial Lamb of God that was sent to suffer and give his life as a ransom for all. In our story today, Jesus is asked to help a man who is controlled by evil spirits, and he realized that only Jesus could free him. After Jesus delivered him from legion, the man asked Jesus to let him follow him, and Jesus told him, "No, go home to your friends and tell them how great things the Lord hath done for thee." One of the lessons that we should be prepared to take away from this passage is the necessity to tell anyone who will listen about what the Lord has done. The restored man could not contain himself with that appreciation. The restored man could not contain himself with that which Jesus has done on his behalf. This is an emblem of a person who is full of appreciation and gratefulness. He understood what he had been done for him and simply wanted to share God's bounty with others. As Jesus expels the demon from the man into the pigs, it demonstrates the awesome power that he possesses. Even as Jesus has previously proven his own strength over illness, this miracle shows his authority at another level. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who you thought was possessed by a demon? How do you react to their presence? Me neither. Neither anyone else? Okay, let's move on to the first. A possessed man meets Jesus. Do I have a reader?
They came to the other side of the sea to the country of the Gerasenes. And when he had stepped out of the boat, immediately a man out of the tomb with an unclean spirit met him. He lifted him out of the tomb, and no one could restrain him anymore, even with a chain. For he had often been restrained with shackles and chains, but the chains he wrenched apart, and the shackles he broke in pieces, and no one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains he was always howling and bruising himself with stones.
Okay. Know it. And just let this piggyback off of this. Know it. Mark writes of Jesus meeting the Genesis man who is a demonic possessed. After Jesus and his disciple crossed over the lake into the region of Genesis, Pastor, how you pronounce that word? Okay. Jesus got out of the boat and encountered a man with an evil spirit. Jesus is known to be a great teacher, healer, and exorcist. Immediately after Jesus arrived, the man comes to Jesus for help. Jesus demands the demons to come out, and they went into a herd of swine. The man's situation was that he was no longer in control of his life, and he needed some assistance from Jesus in order to have his life back. Sometimes we can have something that controls or take over our lives so much we are no longer in control of our action and our faculties. When this happens, we must first admit that we are out of control, not because we want to be, but something has taken hold of us. The next thing we should do is to seek help. In Mark 5, this man went to Jesus seeking some spiritual assistance. Matthew 8:28 to the 31st, and Luke 8:26 and through the 39 share this story. So here he was, a man that was really, these spirits had him all ravished up and had him acting wild and throwing himself and hurting himself against the stone and howling toward the moon or whatever. And he knew he had this possession, but there was nothing he could do about it. So when Jesus got off this boat and he knew about him, he went to him asking for help. And talking about when they say that when we ourselves, you see people all the time, you always say, why he keep doing that? Or he done did it for so long. I always say about anybody, you do it for so long, you out of control. You can't help yourself. I hear somebody, I just can't help myself. Because they done did it for so long and it's over control. It done took control of their lives. But this right here, when it was speaking on that, I get that part, because there's a such things that people, even down to drug addicts, they on drugs real bad, and they don't want to be there. They don't want to be like that, but they can't help themselves. So it takes more.
Talking about them evil spirits,
Yeah.
a lot of people got evil spirits and don't even know it. And thinking back on what you said, Pastor was preaching on it really last Sunday when he was talking about the three friends that Job had.
Mhm.
And once you start hanging out with certain people, believe it or not, they will make you backslide if you're weak. But if you got God in your life, you have to do some heavy prayer. I find when I was working, I used to see folks, like you said, good people. Good people,
Mhm.
spiritual people, one never cut. Then all of a sudden they get around the wrong person and try to fit in. Or here comes one. Say, man, what? You don't normally cut. What's going on? I got caught up. And they do. It's like you
Mhm.
said, people do stuff over and over. They don't even realize what they're doing. Like we talked about it a few right before Sunday school. Everybody go through something.
Mhm.
When we going through something, like you said, sometimes you don't even have nobody you can go and talk to. And before you know it balls up and it start getting bigger and bigger. It's just a matter of time that we gonna explore stuff that we wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, and like you just said, somebody said, well, why he done that? Why she done that? What's going on? But then, like you said, we as Christians, some of us have to break down the door and say, hey, man, we need to talk. And but I find a lot of Christians, I've seen we got a job to do. We really do as Christians. We got a job to do. We supposed to help lead folks to Christ. We can't save nobody, but we can tell them,
Right.
as the story said, we can tell folks what God done for us.
That's
You know,
it.
and
That's
like
right.
you said, and most of us really think we can handle it. But we done got so wrapped up in Christ. We know to praise him every day, call on him. You know, he's on time God. He might not come when you want him. But we really don't have no choice but to go to him.
Yeah. You're so right. Because you do, I have run into people that I don't need this and I don't need that. Yeah, you need the Lord, and then Lord put people in places to even help you through. So you got to look at that. You got to look where your help's coming from. You know He put people in places to help you through your situation that you yourself cannot get out of, and they dismiss that part. I've seen them dismiss that part about that help that has been placed before them and think they can do it, but they still stay in the clutches of the evil spirit of doing the wrong that they do. It continues to sin, and it falls on everybody. It brings havoc on everyone, on the actions that they take.
And you know, Sister Teacher, last Sunday, when the young lady was teaching Sunday school, and she told her testimony about her daughter,
Hmm.
to me, that was a miracle. She knew when she left home she didn't have no money. Knew she didn't have no money. Now, and they said when her daughter told her it's gonna be all right. That ain't nobody but God. You can
Hmm.
shake it up any way you want to. That wasn't nobody but God. And you know, like you said, I felt that when she told me. Cause like you said, I've had stuff that happened to me. Don't even know how it happened, but I know it had to be from God.
Hmm. Legions was known to live in the tombs. Mark that he has an say that he has an impure spirit which speak to his possession. In any case, the demon had taken control of his life so much so he runs in and out of the grave, cutting himself, just gone mad. He's mad. He's taking control. And when they tried to contain him with chains, he had enough strength to break the chains, and no one could subdue him. Wild was his way of living, and not because he wanted to, but he just could not help himself. So you see, like we just talked about, people are, like I said, people, drug addicts, whoremongers, all of them. They always say they try to break it, but they can't. They can't help themselves. But I always, like, down to one of my relatives, I say, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to go to God with that. There's only so far that we could go. I said, I can't fix that thing for you. I can't change that thing up. I said, that's a job so big. I said, it's bigger than us. I said, that's something you had to take to the Lord and let Him pull you through and get control of your life and surround yourself with positive people. As long as you continue to have people running rapid just like you will stay there. You will be there. Jesus meet legions. Mark 5, 6 to the 10th verse. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and bowed down before him, and he shouted at the top of his voice, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adore you by God. Do not torment me." For he said to him, "Come out, man, you unclean spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" He replied, "My name is Legion, for we are many." He begged him earnestly not to send him out of the country. In verse 6 through 10, Jesus let the demon inside of the man know that since he is more powerful than they are, they must come out of him. Stop tormenting him. Verse 7 says that the demon shouted out to Jesus, being aware that Jesus was God's son. The demon understood that Jesus had power over him if he chose to use it. The title is given and translated as El Elyon, which speaks of God's strength. After recognizing Jesus' identity and strength, the demon pleaded with Jesus to not to torment me. Jesus recognized the problem with the man's action and demanded that the demon depart the man, but not before obtaining his name. When asked what his name is, the demon responded, Legion, for we are many, suggesting that there was an army of impure spirits operating in the man's spirit. Anyone have anything to add to that? As it speak on the legions, there are many, meaning as large number. The demon knew who Jesus is, the Son of God. He knew one thing. They knew one thing. Many of them knew one thing. There is no negotiation. As for they were not equal partners. Jesus is superior, and they knew it. That's why they asked, please do not send them out among in the country. They knew he had power. They knew in the future they would be appointed for their final torment, wondering if Jesus finally come to start that final judgment. Even though this bondage is serious, his bondage was not no problem of Jesus. Anyone like to add to that? Yeah. Yeah. And then as I speak on that, the part about the legions, as you look at it, legions mean as many of thousands. It's as a whole. So that lets you know he just didn't have one spirit within him. He had many spirits within him. That one man had many thousands of spirits in him. Anyone else want to add? So we'll move on. We'll do 3, the demon request. This is out of Mark 5th, 11 through the 13th verse. Would someone like to read the verses? Verse 11 and 13 inform us that the demon was not satisfied with Jesus expelling them out of the man. They wanted to keep living in someone or something. And that was their biggest thing. They pleaded with him not to send him in the country because they didn't want, they knew that their place was to be within somebody, something, to continue to cause havoc, cause wreckage in people's lives or the surrounding area. So yes, they begged. They didn't want to be cast out and be roaming. They want to be within someone. So when Jesus expelled them from the man, they entered a herd of swine. Their request is noted in verse 10, but the place of their release and entering in verse 11 and 12, close by there was a herd of swine feeding, and they asked of Jesus to send us into the swine. It is amazing that they did not argue with Jesus about leaving the man, but neither did the swine invite them to enter them. This suggests that they knew the Lord Jesus had power over them, and they had to obey Jesus' request to leave the man. You have something you want to say?
Like I said, when you start talking about demons, like you said, these are unclean spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, there's no control over it, and it's like you said, they ain't no really escaping it unless you call on Jesus. Look, I mean, just like people in psychic wards, suicide folks, one minute they fine, next minute they acting up.
It is also said that evil will find a way into your life and wreck it. Jesus gave them what they asked for. They entered the herd of swine, about 2,000 of them. Legion's interest proved to be too much even for the herd of swine. They wanted nothing to do with Legion. And the King James Version says, the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea and were choked in the sea. It was too much for them to take. Now here they were. They didn't want to be roaming out there in the inhabitants, so they wanted to be placed. They wanted to go in something or somebody so they could continue to do the evil and cause havoc on someone's life. But here they are. They asked to go to the swine, which, like it stated, didn't invite them, but they was there. But they were too much. Even down the swine did not want them. And then they ran, and all of them ran down the hill, thousands of them. Somebody money, wealth, prosperity left, ran down the hill, and then they perished in the sea because they did not want them in there. So do anybody else have anything to state on this? Add to this. The free man request. As he was getting into the boat, the man who been possessed by demon begged him that he may be with him. But Jesus refused and said to him, go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and what mercy he has shown you. And he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus has done for him. And everyone was amazed. This man was so grateful to Jesus for delivering him from this demonic spirit that he offered to follow him. But instead, Jesus told him in verse 19, go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he had mercy on you. After Jesus freed the man of the demons, words was carried into the neighboring town. Some was glad, others was mad. They came to see if what was said was true. Sure enough, it was. They was amazed when they saw the man, who at one time was uncontrollable, sit up fully clothed and perfectly sane. The man whom Jesus delivered was very appreciative of what Jesus had done. So he offered to follow Jesus, but Jesus told him no. Instead, let what has happened here today be part of your testimony. You stay and tell them that the Son of the Most High God delivered you from the impure spirit and has set you free. Wouldn't it be great if more people knew how the Lord had delivered us? So here these demons were. These demons now, as I read on, these demons, even though they asked to be cast into these swine, they had no idea. They had no idea that these pigs would suddenly run down the hill and drown themselves. They were never asked to be released within those pigs if they knew that they were going to do that. They had no idea. They thought they was going to be able to continue to live within something or somebody to cause havoc in their lives, which evil spirits does. Everybody know if you're evil, you're going to bring something to the table and it won't be good. So they assumed that they would continue to be able to live on, but they were too much. Even down to the swine did not want them within them. They actually needed a new place to continue to live and to do damage, not to be destroyed at sea. So that right there itself speaks a lot. Even down to the unclean, which Jews considered the unclean, didn't even want to have anything. They even though the animals don't have control like we do, but they still had that part right there where they all ran to sea and killed themselves because they didn't want that. They didn't want those legions within them. Anybody else want to add something to it? Everybody's quiet. Thank you. Hmm. Be belligerent. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you do have to put some effort in it. Yeah, you just can't like I said, you just and talking about that, if you know your problem, you know your problem, take off running. Stay to yourself. Don't go there. Don't be there. Don't get around it. Just cause you know the minute you get within that with the rest of them, you sure to show out. You sure to bring problems. I myself, all of us have somebody in their family that will show plumb out. Destroy the whole evening for everybody. Be ready to slap somebody upside the head and everybody crying and begging and carrying on because they come with that. They don't they don't make that right choice. I just can't help myself. Yes, you can. You can sit over in that corner with your leg crossed and eat you a plate of food and talk and watch the game. But the minute you put that drink up or you go out there to the car and you come back in, here, everybody, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, and we all got that. Ain't a soul in here got somebody, family, that everybody's okay when they get together. And then as far as, when you're going through something and you have been redeemed from your situation, yes, go out there and tell it. Tell it to the next person. Tell it to the person that has gone through it just like you to give them hope. Because everybody needs hope. There's all that he do for us on a day-to-day basis, make the next person know that there is hope. There's hope for all of us. And when you, like I said, when you got that testimony, you hang on to it. Don't you keep it to yourself. Share it because it's a builder for the next. And then that you've heard people say after you tell your testimony or they don't overheard it, the first thing they want to say is, you don't know how much that helped me. And then you assuming that their day is good and their day is not. Because like you stated earlier, no one knows because people walk around and keep a lot of stuff to themselves and they don't want to share it. And then there you are telling your testimony to the quiet mouth. And that's the best thing that happened to them that day. Because you told them or someone or they overheard the deliverance that God has given themselves. I know I have quite a bit of friends I've seen that was down by the wayside. I mean, flat on their face. And if you see them now and you think about them then you say that is nothing but God. That's him. They allow him to come in and deliver them from their evil ways that was causing so much grief to them and their family.
It's like you were saying earlier. God does. He put people around us to help us
Oh yeah.
if we listen.
Oh yeah.
I remember brother in this church here was talking. This lady was coming to church, and she was real quiet. Always in Sunday school, and she was bogged down in so much peer pressure. Just so happened, the mother spoke to that lady that day, and asked how was she doing, and that lady broke down and went to crying and hugged her and told her, you know what? She came to church to see what she had confirmation of was God gonna give her confirmation. That lady's We wasn't. You know, now we done got in church, you know, and our kids coming up, we see stuff our kids doing. We have to tell them, you know what? If you don't tell them, they're going to tell you. You act like you ain't never been nothing wrong. I have. But I'm trying to help you. Why do you think daddy going to tell you something wrong? You know, why do you think mama going to tell you something wrong? And you know, like you said, I hate to say this, but like that old saying, monkey see, monkey do, they going to try it. Yeah. But if we can get to them and just say one thing, young fella, you ought not to do that. But guess what we do? Man, you better not say nothing now. Short kids, man, he'll get mad. It takes all of us. It takes all of us. You know, because what if I'm not there? What if I'm not there? And you see my child stealing. You ain't gonna say nothing to my child? You gonna just let her keep stealing? Now I'm mad with you because I saw Sister Rivers there. She didn't say nothing. And then what I'm gonna say, it ain't her child not to say nothing. You know, we Christians say something. But you know, we as Christians, we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, because we know that, we ourselves know that Jesus, he trumps over the unclean spirit, and he liberates the captives and give hopes to hopeless people. And then, like you stated, it's all of us to work together as a village to to keep each other on the right tracks. Give the love that we need to give, and let the person know that it's God, it's Him that can pull you through. Every day, I'm gonna read it now to remember it. Every day, God is actively involved in the affairs of our lives. With His involvement comes His guidance and protection, which that is true. But there are times when we must realize we need His power and presence to deliver Him. And like I said, He put people in places. And then when you think about things, you say, it was never God. He placed them in my life and told me that and helped me. You just don't understand how much you helped me get on my way or make me change up some things. It may not be as visible as it was with the man who was cutting himself and could not be controlled by anyone. We need the help of the Lord Jesus. In our lesson, Jesus' presence was known by his disciples, and the demons and the men also knew Jesus. It was also evident that the people in the community were aware of the man's condition. As you study and read and meditate on this lesson, just listen to the song of Thomas Darcy, Take My Hand, Precious Lord. Think of a time in which dealing with a situation that you had little or no control over wore you out. Think of a time in which you called on Jesus to help you with a situation that was too much that you could handle on your own. And we all been there. We all been there. Can you recall a time that you could have called on Jesus to help you, but you decided to take matters in your hand? We done that too. And when we take that matter in our own hand, we did what? We made the situation even worse. The situation got even bigger. Then you left you no other choice but to turn it over to him. And you said yourself, only if I had a listen. We must know that as we go through life, we will have things that overwhelm us. But when this happens, you should do as a demon-possessed man did. Come to Jesus. Know also there are times when you do great things, it may not be accepted by all means. It's not accepted by all. But don't let that stop you from doing what you know is right. Jesus did not send legion into the swine. It was a legion's request, not Jesus' wish. And I gave y'all this lesson. This lesson is good because it is pertaining to our lives. Just like it stated here, is that we do great things and we set out to do great things. And we following the wishes of the Lord. But everybody ain't riding with you when you go do it. You're going to have some that going to get on the bus with you, and you're going to have some that's not. But one thing for sure, most of us sit up in here, we have called on him when we're in our most dire moment. And it's just sure we continue to live. And the man that we know that bring us through, we will continue to call up on him. And he will do what he has to do. That's how powerful he is. I gave y'all this Sunday school lesson. I enjoyed it myself. Some knowledge to me. I appreciate y'all listening. Thank y'all so much. Love you guys.
Thank you, Sister Teacher. Sister Secretary.
Good morning. Minutes of the Silver Springs Missionary Baptist Church Sunday School, the 26th of March in the year of our Lord 2023. The school was called to order by Deacon Hemingway at 8:07. Prayer by Deacon Outlaw. Scripture for today, Mark 5:1-13, 18-20. The subject of the lesson, Jesus overpowered Legion, the main thought, and he departed and began to publish in the cause how great things Jesus had done for him, and all the men did marvel. Mark 5:20. Officers prayed with 5, teachers prayed with 5. Grand total attendance for today 20. Grand total last Sunday 16. The weather was sunny. The lesson was reviewed 45 minutes by Miss Taffeny. Director Superintendent Deacon Missionary, Secretary Sister Kimberly Seaver.
Thanks, Sister Secretary. Our Sunday school lesson, Jesus overpowered legs. All you got to do is look in the mirror and see some of the things that we used to do. And if it had not been for God on our side, overpowering those demons that we had, we'd be still out there wilding in our mess. But see, when God died and he left that comforter for us, which is the Holy Bible, instead of just letting it sit on that dresser 7 days a week, open it up sometime. See what's in it. Because I like you said, and I know all of us got a story. All of us have a story. But you know what? All of us are Jesus' children. All of us are Jesus' children. I remember it wasn't a testimony, but Pastor Jones said something one time, It's like I said, when I'm up in church, I come in church to listen at the word, because like you said, I'm human just like everybody else. Do you remember that time you said you went to go see somebody and you didn't know whether you had enough gas? And you went there and came back and didn't put no gas? That stuff is real. That stuff is real. God done so much in our lives, we take it for granted. We do. We take it for granted. We think just because he's helping us, we supposed to be up here. We ain't arrived nowhere. We still got a long ways to go. And God, like you said, he put people around us that help us out. He did the same thing for us. He put us around folks that need somebody to talk to. But when you got a chance to minister to somebody, take that chance. Take that chance. You just don't know what you're doing. Take that chance, minister to that folks, and believe it or not, they going to come back and say, you know what, Dickie Houston, if it had not been for you, me talking to you that day on the job, man, I don't know what I'd have done. And believe it or not, it scares you. It scares you because you done helped somebody knowing that it wasn't nobody but God. You didn't help that folk. God spoke through you. When they said, let his light shine through us, that's what it does. And he uses us. Pastor, you have anything? Anyone have anything? Let us stand. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent, one from another. Let us all say amen.